Alright guys, welcome to my channel. This is your man L, and today we're going to be doing a review of Sauvage Extraight. Um, been in fragrance for a long time, and this is my first video jumping off the porch with this one, man, and put my hand in the race. So I think we got a good one. This just came out yesterday on July 31st, 2026. New release. Got my hands on it. It has Vietnamese OUD in it. I'm an OUD collector. In time, you guys are going to see that. And I thought this would be a good one to jump it off. I know Sauvage is popular. A lot of you guys probably have had this in your collections and at least gotten your nose on it. And today we're going to get it going. So, a couple notes here. So to get a full bottle of this, it's going to cost you about $205, 50 ml. The top notes we got Ambroxan, we got lavender, we got bergamot. In the mid, you got that Vietnamese OUD that I'm curious about. You got patchouli, vetiver, cedarwood, Virginia cedarwood, Alaska cedar. I actually personally work with all of these raw ingredients. I like to look at myself as like a novice perfumer, and you know, later on down the line I'll kind of get into that stuff as well. So this should be interesting to see if I can kind of pick up on at least what they claim to put in here. You know, they may only say maybe 10 or 15 notes, but in reality it's probably 60 to 70 chemicals that really make up these perfumes. So enough with all that. Let me go ahead and get a spray so I can tell you guys at least what I think of. So off the bat, it definitely has that Sauvage DNA. I get a strong apple. It's woody. I can smell the Vietnamese OUD. Maybe they use real Vietnamese OUD. I actually have several natural Vietnamese and artisanal ouds, you know, that I've got my nose on. So I can kind of tell that there is real oud in here. It probably is natural, but it may be some cypriol oil, which is, you all know that that's an ingredient that they put into mock oud. But at this price point for 50 ml, with it being a designer, it probably does have real oud in it. Bergamot, typical top note. Of course, you got the woods in there. The oud is very prominent. And what I like about this one, even though it's a designer, it definitely gives me like a niche feel. 100% gives me a niche feel. It has that Sauvage DNA, but this is definitely for a person who likes niche fragrances. I did spray this on earlier so I can get into the longevity and the sillage and all that good stuff. And I did get a resemblance of something. And this sort of reminds me of Frederick Mall's Hope. You know, in that desert line. It reminds me of that. Maybe it's the apple, maybe it's the oud. It could be some olibanum or some incense in here, some frankincense. But it definitely reminds me of a less refined Hope. You know, I think Hope is on another level. But again, you're paying 3 times the price, so I think it should be. But it does remind me of Hope, and it did surprise me because I'm just like, wow. Designer Macy's, Sephora type Sauvage, real mainstream. But this is definitely unleashing it. Definitely smell the oud. Again, the apple is very prominent. It projects. As soon as I sprayed it, my wife said, "Oh, I can smell it from here." And she had to be about at least 6 feet away from me. And then maybe 15 minutes later, before we went off and ran some errands earlier, she could smell it on me again. And you know, unsolicited, it's like that. So, is it worth I think so. If you're somebody who just wants to smell good, or if you're into the dupes and all that type of stuff, you're probably not going to spend the 205. But I think it's worth it. You know, a lot of my fragrances are far beyond that. Just getting into the bottom of my collection at this point in my journey. So I do think that for me, 205, absolutely. For the people who used to buying, 90 Sauvages, then it's probably one of the smallest bottles that they've come out with. I doubt it. Good sillage, the room that I was in that I sprayed it originally, I went back in there 20 minutes later, I could smell that, the woods, I could smell the apple. Of course, it's Ambroxan on that top end. Very, very popular fragrance for its Ambroxan. I'm not sure if that's Ambro Fix or Ambrox Super, all the kind of stuff that us perfumery kind of guys use when we're putting this stuff together, but it's definitely Ambroxan in there. Lasts about 10 hours on skin. Even after I took a shower and got dressed for this video, I can still smell it on my hand. And that's a good thing. And of course, this little sample is really not doing it any justice because it's not spraying anything on here. It's probably spraying the equivalent, 3 sprays of this is probably the equivalent of a third of an actual spray. So I think it's going to last a long time. And I do enjoy it. So if you do like Sauvage, put your nose on it. I got my sample early. It took a little while to get to me. But, I do believe it's out now. So go to your Macy's, your Nordstrom's, your big Sephora has it too. Check it out. Or, do like I did and get you a decant. Now, this was kind of expensive, when you had to add shipping in. It was almost $19 or $20 just for me to get this little sample here. So maybe like on Facebook Marketplace, in the groups, maybe somebody will have a 5 or 10 ml decant. And I don't really see you needing more than a 10 or 15 ml decant unless you just want to go club crazy and just spray this stuff all over yourself, 8, 9, 10 sprays. But I do think, a decant probably would suffice. I do think that this is for a more mature individual. This one isn't as playful as the original Sauvage and all the other flankers. I do think it's a little similar to the last one. I think the last one was the Elixir, maybe. The Elixir was more of a mature take on it as well. And then again with them, having this price point, I think they are kind of gearing this towards more of the person that's a little bit more mature and in a position to be able to afford to spend the $205 plus tax on the 50 ml. So that's pretty much it for me. First video. So if you did like this, please get in the comments and tell me what else I should order, what else I should try. Of course, later on I'm gonna go through my own collection and have the actual full bottles or whatnot, and some things that maybe you guys have smelled and maybe you guys have not smelled. But get in the comments and let me know what else I should try and what else I should make a video on. Like, subscribe if you feel like it, man. If not, I appreciate you being here anyway, man. And have a great day.